is an image that we have of what love is in our mind that is based on the energy dynamics that we experience growing up. Welcome back to another episode on the Aaron Doughty Podcast. My name is Aaron Doughty, and today we're going to be looking into understanding more about love attraction, how love attraction is wound-based, meaning we are sexually attracted and emotionally attracted to people that have a similar corresponding childhood wound as us. And what happens is we are attracted to them because we are not secretly, but unconsciously searching for wholeness. We're searching to heal the patterns from childhood. And what happens is we attract people into our life with similar corresponding childhood wounding so that we can then try to heal through that relationship to heal the same dynamics when we were a kid. Now, sometimes this also comes from a certain sense of familiarity when we're kids. So when we fall in love with someone, it feels so good. It feels so connecting. But at the same time, what that is that's a certain sense of familiarity. It's familiar. It's almost like you're coming back to the primordial home of your mom or your dad, and you're feeling that same connection you felt when you're a baby, when you were a kid, and that energy dynamic that is on autopilot feels comfortable, and therefore it feels good. So in this episode, what I want to do is I want to look more at the love-based and wound-based attraction, but also showing you how you can heal through these patterns and what some of the lessons are, some of the things you can take with you are so that you heal yourself. Because I'll be talking a little bit about anxious and avoidant attachment styles and how to heal each side of those, but also what that's saying about yourself, because all attracting love is a reflection of the love of self. And there are certain lessons we get and certain reflections we get to heal if we're aware of them. But if we're not aware of them, we'll continue to attract the same experiences over and over again. As I look to my past and I look to what I experienced, and many of you know my story, but I looked to my relationship patterns until I healed a certain relationship pattern, things were on autopilot for me. So it's like almost the faces may change, but the energy remains the same. Have any of you guys ever felt that? Like maybe there's a different person in your life, but the deeper you go with someone, the more you realize that there's actually similar patterns. And I was recently, reading a book right now. It's called Getting the Love You Want. It's an amazing book. And basically, it's written by a husband-wife psychologist, and they talk about this thing called the imago, I-M-A-G-O. This imago is an image that we have of what love is in our mind that is based on the energy dynamics that we experience growing up. So there's normally the most negative and the most positive traits of both of our parents are within our imago, and we are either attracting our imago into our life or we are projecting our imago onto our partner, and we're bringing it out of them based on our own trauma. So based on what felt comfortable and familiar when we were kids. And that's what we're attracted to. So a lot of times when you may have a deep sexual or emotional attraction to somebody, it could be a sign that that's like there's probably a corresponding trauma there that is bringing and reeling it in that feels familiar. And maybe that image links up with the imago. I don't think the imago is completely visual. I think it's more of an energy dynamic thing, but it's overlaid characteristics of both of your parents, negative imprints and positive imprints. And then we project that or we attract that into our life. And the reason we're doing that, by the way, is because we're unconsciously trying to heal our own inner child. That's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to heal our own inner child, and we're doing that through this form of attraction, through this unconscious way of becoming whole. Because when we're kids and we go through experiences of feeling separate or unworthy, will either attract people into our life that reflect back a corresponding belief, or we're trying to attract something because we think we can heal that, we can fix that. And I look to my past. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my relationship patterns just to kind of show you this dynamic and how you can become aware of this in your own life and how you can do the inner work so that you stop attracting similar patterns over and over again where you lose yourself or you have a big wall up and you're afraid. Those are normally the common, anxious and avoidant attachment styles. Now, first off, a lot of you know my story, just very short story on it. I saw there was my friend posted this Instagram like meme thing, and it said long story short. I like to say long story short, but then go ahead and explain the whole story anyways. Like, that's what I'll do right now. I'm just kidding. Not really. But basically, from 7 to 15 years old, the whole ex-stepmom situation, my dad, I look at my dad's patterns too. My dad is a traditional nice guy, still is. And he, in many ways, attracted my ex-stepmom in my life. My parents divorced when I was 5. My ex-stepmom came in when I was 7. Slowly but surely, she started gaining more and more power in the relationship, and my dad just started kind of letting her lead. My dad's a fire investigator, but he was a firefighter for years, so he'd work 24 hours, be off 24 hours, work 24 hours, be off 24 hours, and that was his schedule. So a lot of times we were around our ex-stepmom. So from 7 to 15 years old, we were around our stepmom, and she became abusive, mentally, physically, emotionally abusive. My brother and I had to sneak food in order to get enough food to eat. We were given a bowl of cereal in the morning, TV dinner at night. We were normally locked outside working all day, so we'd have to break into the house if we wanted to wanted more food, or we wanted to also just be inside in the AC in Vegas when it's hot as fuck outside. And normally, if we ever wanted to watch TV, one of us would be on the lookout for somebody pulling into the house if no one was home, and we'd be watching TV, and then we'd have to push the last previous channel button on our remote. And we would then run outside the house and pretend to be working. Normally what we'd do is we'd work a whole bunch in the first 2 hours so that then we could take 2 or 3 hours and chill. And then it looks like, we had a whole bunch of work done. But we weren't allowed to go to school activities. We had to earn it. We'd get it taken away. Weren't allowed to watch TV, movies. Weren't allowed to have friends. Now, 15 years old came around, and what happened is finally my dad divorced my ex-stepmom. Basically, my grandma stepped in and found out what was going on and said, hey, if you don't do something about this, then, I'm gonna do something about it. And then my dad's like, okay, he's shaped up. Then he divorced my ex-stepmom, and when that happened, we talk about the imago and the familiarity. I remember all of a sudden my brother and I, with no freedom whatsoever, allowed to watch TV, allowed to have friends, allowed to play video games, allowed to eat enough as much food as we wanted. We started looking healthy because we were very malnutrition before that. And our whole entire lives changed. But I remember this feeling of uncertainty and anxiety. Even though there was so much pain involved with having to sneak watch TV, sneak food, having to constantly gauge, I used to have to constantly gauge my ex-stepmom's emotions to know how to get by and how to survive. We'd have to admit to lies we didn't do in order to, if I wanted to go to a forensics debate tournament, it's who moved the laptop? I remember one time it was who moved the laptop from this part of the hallway to this part of the hallway. And neither of my brother Zach or I did that. But unless one of us admitted that we did it, I wasn't allowed to go to this forensics debate tournament. So I had to pretend as if I did this thing I did not do in order for me to get by. So there's this constant gauge to my ex-stepmom. But even though, and I'll talk about that pattern here in a little bit too, but even though that was the energy dynamic, after my dad divorced my ex-stepmom, there was an anxiety that came. At least with all this other crazy stuff, there was a level of certainty, and I could just relax. I could relax in that safety in a way. And it was this weird thing. They call it Stockholm Syndrome. It's where people that are kidnapped, they develop an emotional bond with that, and they end up going back to it because it's familiar. Maybe that changes their imago as well, their image of what love is and what a guardian is, and then they look for that in a partner. But basically, I remember that feeling of whoa, there's a lot of anxiety here. And of course, I don't want this, but well, guess what? Even though I never really had to see my ex-stepmom again, my dad still had to deal with her because he has 2, my half-sisters are through, that's their real mom. No worries. I attracted people into my life to reflect back that level of control. I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment from my podcast called the Aaron Doughty Podcast. If you want to listen to the rest of that episode, click the link below. You'll see it on iTunes and Spotify. You can download episodes. It's so easy to listen to. You can do it while you're working out, while you're driving. It's so convenient. And that's where new episodes go live every Tuesday and Thursday, every single week. I have guests coming on the podcast. I have solo episodes, and we go really deep. This is really a place where I get very personable and I share more about things I'm thinking of. I share my top book insights, and you can check it out and subscribe below, and you will see it there. So iTunes, Spotify, listen to the rest of the episode below as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace, much love, and namaste.